Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going through the Gold Coast Suns AFL Fantasy Preview for 2025. So let's just jump straight into this. Hopefully, I'll be following a similar sort of theory that I always do with this and going down the list of all the players. I know I lost track yesterday, or for you guys yesterday, with the Geelong one. I've done that countless times already in the 7 that I've recorded so far. So let's hopefully see that I can keep track of it. Now let's update this to the Geelong Cats, from Geelong to Gold Coast, and you will see they have bye round 2. And looking at this and the individual teams, they don't have the worst 2 games to start the year. The problem is that doesn't count for fantasy scoring. West Coast Eagles are West Coast Eagles. Okay, here we go. This is what I like to see. This is the 2-round banker. So if you were to trade in, if you were to get a first primo, I would think it would be a Sam Flanders or a Noah Anderson or something like that, which we'll talk to, because that's juicy. What's their round bye? They've got round 14. That's fine. I've seen teams on round 14, but I haven't really looked at it in general. That's fine. So I really like this run here where they've got Melbourne, not the greatest. Adelaide, who the heck knows with Adelaide. North Melbourne should be better, but still that should be a game that they can win. And then they've got Richmond, which they should be able to win that. Sydney, tough. Brisbane, tough. Then they've got the Western Bulldogs, and then the Hawks. So they do have a tough run after that, but I do like that 3 or 4 game run that they've got there. Anyway, let's get into these players. Sam Flanders, 107.8. He's priced at 1.106 million, I'm pretty sure. And he basically had a shift down back as well as sort of this midfield role, and it's really, really good. Has the early bye in 2025, and thus needs to probably average about 110, 111 to start. But, as I said, once he gets through that early bye and he's on level terms with others in terms of games left, that's when you pounce. He averaged 113.5 when he was sub 40% CBA games, and thus much of his average came when he didn't play on ball, which, if you look at Sam Flanders, let's just quickly look at him. That's the AFLW I was looking at in between these videos, and doesn't look good for the Swans, can I just say. Which kind of sucks. But anyway, if we look at him when he played on ball, if we know that he averaged 113.5 when he didn't play on ball, and he averaged in 2024 when he played around about the 40% on ball time, he averaged 102. So he's still averaging all right when he plays on ball, but when he doesn't play on ball, that's when he really goes off. And in 2023, he averaged a fair amount when he played on ball. But, yeah, as you see here, some injuries, etc. playing. But when he played on ball in 2023, if we look at that, we'll do the 30% as well. 20% we won't count, I don't think. There, he averaged 97. So he still averages 97 to like 100 points when he plays on ball. But when he doesn't, he plays better. So we'll see what they do, given they probably want to introduce him more on ball a little bit. But they did also play the back end of the year with him not on ball, and he averaged whatever that is, 96. So I feel like he's one that we can wait a little bit. He's probably going to dip in price a little bit, but once he gets to that round 4 or 5, that's when we pounce. Back to here. Daniel Rioli, the next guy up, moved to Gold Coast from Richmond, averaged 83.5 last year, which is an 857. Injuries, but it shouldn't affect his availability for round 0 as of December 1st when I wrote that. He did his MCL, I believe. Will Gold Coast system should be able to lift his marks as he takes more of a Sam Flanders role in their backline. That's under the assumption that Sam Flanders takes more of a midfield role. Could be a plus 15 to average the 100 marker. Also have to remember the early bye that he has as he's playing in round 0. He's a guy that I'm intrigued to see what happens now that he's moving to Gold Coast, as he probably could take that Sam Flanders role, and he could be the one that we buy after round 4 or 5, as he's a top 6 player, top 6 defender, but we'll just have to wait and see on that front there. Now, skipping through these is none of the other guys. Alex Sexton played like 10 games as a defender, played 5 as a forward. I don't care about him. Powell as well, same thing. John Noble moved across. Don't think he's going to have as much influence as like a Daniel Rioli does. Lockie, as well as if you actually look at this, and I was looking at this for the sake of Richmond, but if you look at this in the sake of Richmond to Gold Coast transition in terms of game style, Daniel Rioli is probably going to pick up another 2 to 3 possessions just in that case in a low. And that should see him jump to a 90-95, let alone he will probably take another couple of marks. So he can easily get that plus 15 just based on style differential, let alone a better role, I feel like. Mac Andrew, Buddy Orland, Buderick, no. Joel Jeffrey, no. These guys are just all sort of lockdown or swingman. Collins, no. Lemons, no. Ballard, no. Swallow, no. Farrow, Caleb Graham, and Bell, no. And then we get to Noah Anderson, 104 average last year. Priced at in and around that 1.067 million. I think that is a confirmed pricing. I think that's the exact same as Caleb Sarong. So, last year he averaged 105 from 23 games, and this year he averaged 104 from the 23 games as well. Averaged near enough around these 16 kicks, 14 handballs, and also 4.7 marks, 3.1 tackles. So, I think he also started the season in 2024 on fire. If we go to Noah Anderson, I think his first 5 games he averaged 117.6. But then inconsistent scoring with like a 60, then a 110, then another 60, then a 110, etc. He had this run here where 60, 140, 60, 110, 98, 76, 140, 103. It was just so inconsistent. But if you actually look at his 2024 start, if you look at his first sort of 5 games here, 117.6. If you expand this just fractionally out there, he starts to get back to his normal. But 109.7 through 7 games, 108.3 through the first 8 games. You can even extend it out to here, 107.7 in the first 10 games, which is 3.7 up on his average. I feel like he's a guy that could, if he gets some consistency, could be a guy to grab in round 4, round 5 for that double against North Melbourne and also Richmond, the double that he has there. He averages 116 against Richmond and hasn't really dropped other than his 2020, which was COVID related. And that 80 actually translates, I believe, to a roughly about times, divided by 0.75, I think is roughly, that translates to, I think, a 106, that COVID-related one. It might have been 16-minute quarters. I don't remember exactly. But, yeah, I think that 80 might even translate to about 100. If you take that and add that on, that's, plus 4 average or so, and then he averages about 120 against them. And against North Melbourne, he also averages 92, which has a 2020 game of 80 as well, which adds another about, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it adds another 2 or so to him. So he averages about 95 against North Melbourne as well. He did have a 69 against them, so intriguing to see. And he also had an injury affected or something game against them in 2021, so you can just take that out of the locker there. And if you take those sort of games out, he averages 100.7 in 7 games. So I'm really intrigued about Noah Anderson after he serves that bye. Will Graham, another guy that I've sort of thought about with him with the Gold Coast Suns, and he is priced in and around that 58.6, but his last 5 games he averaged 68, and this was more so because I couldn't find anyone else to talk about, to be honest with you. But yeah, you see that 68.2 in the last 5 games. Yeah, if you just take out the sub games in general from him, if we just quickly do this, you'll see he actually averaged 64.9 in 15 games. So there is some upside. Could he have a breakout in year 2, given that he has a very similar profile to Matt Rowell? Will be interesting. But yeah, I think he's just a little bit undervalued there a little bit. So he could average 70, but I don't think, with everything considered, he's basically the same price as Bailey Smith. I know he's a midfielder rather than a forward, but yeah, there's just guys around his price, if not a little bit more, that will average more. Leo Lombard, their rookie their rookie draft pick. National draft pick. They matched after St Kilda's bid at pick 9, which puts him at 316k. Again, I get the Coates League is probably going to be the best way to look at this. He's played VFL, he's played Coates League, he's played everything in between. Lombard, 3 Coates League games in 2024 for a 78.7. If we look at 2023, he has 5 games at 94. Let me just bring this up for you. Lombard here. 94 from 5 games. If we look at the VFL as well, Lombard here as well, averaged 60 in 8 games in 2024. In 2023 as well, because he was playing back then, I believe, as well. 3 games for 56. Was he even playing in 2022? Let me just double check this. I don't think he was. No, he wasn't. But he was playing in 2023, including the grand final. So he's just an absolute gun. I feel like these numbers sort of don't do him services. He was flicking in and around between different teams, etc. But I feel like he's a guy that could easily do really, really well. I don't know his national champs numbers, but Leo Lombard, rookie me, let me just show you. I think they would stand up very, very well, more so than others. Let's just look. His allies in 2024, he averaged 26 touches, 3 marks, 4.5 tackles. One of the better performing guys in the whole under 18s for scoring. And yeah, we've got him at 316k on the... So we'll just see how it does in round 0, effectively, simply put. But yeah, a guy I'm definitely looking at and wondering if he can go and average 70, 75. Then in the forward line, this is why the Gold Coast were so thin. I literally had like 6 guys. That was it. The forward line, the ruck line, if we just go back through here, I didn't go through them, but Noah Anderson here. Matt Rowell at 93, could he take the next step? I don't like Toot Miller's numbers and his sort of progression, so I don't think he's a guy to go after. Fiorini, no. Davies, Closey, no. Will Graham, we talked about. Zach Evans and Leo Lombard. Zach Evans, a rookie, 230k, former cricketer. I just don't know what his exact role is, given that we haven't really seen him go through the whole process that rookies usually go through. Lombard, we talked about. Witts, no. Moyle, no. Max Noble, no. Ainsworth, no. Longnose, King, no. Elliot Timmelberg, no. You'll find that this episode or this video is going to be very, very short, just given how many guys that we're going to just fly past. Because they have the early bye, it basically negates all their plays, and they aren't the greatest fantasy scorer anyway. So I just don't see many guys really jumping off the page early on. Obviously, there will be guys that jump off the page because of positional changes, but this is so early on in the preseason that I just don't have that yet. You can see here 35.6 from 9 games for Jake Rogers, pricing him at 354k. His 9 games in 2024, if we go to Jake Rogers here, I'm pretty sure you'll see that there was some sub games, I want to say, and was a high talent taken in the 2023 national draft. If we look at him in 2024, look at his games, averaged 39.6 from 7 games, so 5 points of value there in non-sub games. If we look at his 2024 VFL, he averaged 78.6 from 7 games with 9 kicks, 10 handballs. In 2023 Coates Talent League, he played 4 games for a 96, including 10 kicks, 15 handballs, 2 marks, and 6 tackles per game. I want to just look at look at this points per minute in this game here. If you extrapolate that out with his slight midfield time, that's like a 60 there. I have a feeling this guy could be an interesting one just because he's more of a midfielder than he is actually a small forward, I feel like. And I feel like he's going to slowly take that transition. And I feel like he's a guy that slowly embedded himself into the squads in the latter half of the year. I know he 3 games, 35.7 after coming back from the VFL, including a sub game. When you remove that sub game, it's 40.5. I feel like he's a guy that can average 60 in the AFL next year if he just gets time, as I think another preseason under his belt will be really good, given that how small he is. And yeah, we get to have a look at him in round 0 before we decide our sides, which is a massive thing. But especially with Lombard being there, I struggle to see him getting that absolute role that usually we see 1 or 2 guys get that are the massive price rises. So it's hard to see him being a sort of guy that we pick. But in the forward line, these guys, genuinely, the forward line is so bad that Jake Rogers could be a guy that we just look at. Given that it's basically going to be 5 primos that we keep for the rest of the year, maybe a rookie in there, and then 2 rookies on the bench. That type of scenario is probably what's going to play out. So Jake Rogers, we're just looking for some cash then on the rookie forward bench effectively. So that's all that I have basically for the for the Gold Coast Suns in AFL Fantasy 2025. I know a short-ish video, only 14 and a bit minutes, given that they are one of the teams that don't really have any rookies outside of Lombard, don't have any major role changes as of yet, and don't really have any guys that are really in that natural progression stage. Given that a lot of their rookies last year were academy guys, and they didn't really get that, none of them are really rookie priced other than Jake Rogers, who played some games, so we'd have to see a big role change from him on ball probably. So all in all, they don't really have any guys that I'm intrigued with, and also in terms of their primos, a lot of the guys, even though I went through them, they're no-goes to start, and more so just targets after their round 3 bye, I think they have, or the round 2 bye. Given that there's just no one that you really want to look at. So anyway, that's the video. If you did enjoy it, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on if you are on YouTube, and then if you're on Spotify, give me a follow and a rating over there, and I'll see you guys for the next preview, which will be the GWS Giants, who I think actually have some merit, but much to the similar of Gold Coast, early round bye, which kind of just sucks in general, that early bye in the season, meaning that they need to be more valuable. But anyway, we'll see you guys in that video tomorrow. Bye, guys.